Now, welcome everyone to Press TV's news review program, where we get in depth in one of the day's top stories. U.S. has imposed fresh sanctions on Iran, this time targeting suppliers of drones that Washington claims Russia has been using in its war on Ukraine. The sanctions targeted 6 executives and board members of the Quds aviation industries. The U.S. Treasury Department described the industries as key Iranian defense manufacturer responsible for designing and producing drones. The sanctions also targeted the director of Iran's aerospace industries organization. Now, measures freeze any U.S.-based assets of those targeted individuals and ban Americans from dealing with them. Iran has denied allegations that it's provided Russia with drones to be used in the war in Ukraine. Tehran says it did send drones to Russia, but that was before the start of the war in February. Moscow has also denied using Iranian drones in Ukraine. And now joining us for the program is Yousof Azizi, Iranian affairs expert, joining us from Washington, D.C. U.S.'s policy when it comes to Ukraine, we know they've already pumped nearly $50 billion into that country in arms. They've approved another $40 to $50 billion just today, another $3 billion in arms. It's just enough to keep Ukraine in the war, to result in the deaths of thousands of Ukrainian men and women and Russian men and women, young soldiers on both sides, while the U.S. is losing no young boys or girls on its side. Yet it's spending a fortune to keep Ukraine in the war, but it's not giving it the sophisticated kind of weaponry to help it win the war. Explain how that makes sense on any spreadsheet.
It does not make sense. It's just making sense for the industrial military complex in the United States. Even the realist scholar in the United States, such as Henry Kissinger himself or John Mearsheimer, all of them mentioned that the United States and NATO at all, they could avoid the war erupted in the Eastern Europe if they come to the compromise with Russia, because the main competitor, the global competitor for United States, not Russia, it's China. The most important part of the future challenge for the United States international politics is not Eastern Europe, it is Eastern Asia. So the kind of this reckless movement in Eastern Europe and erupted war between Ukraine and Russia would push Russia to have and manage its relationship and improve its relationship with China and also with Iran. So the kind of triple cooperation between China, Iran, and Russia would make more difficult for the United States in the future to spread its hegemony, or at least contain its hegemony. The last word is that we are witnessing, our generation are witnessing another shift in global politics. And it is not like 1990s, or it is not like the early 21st century that the United States would be the hegemon of the global politics. We are going to the kind of multipolar world, which is China, United States, and Russia would be leading the global challenge. So it is very important for the United States to make a balance of power politics in the international politics, but unfortunately, the domestic politics of the United States and the benefit that the military-industrial complex of the United States would wanted to receive every moment would avoid the United States to think carefully about the long-term issues.
Yousof, you have nuclear powers that try to tell Iran it cannot have a peaceful nuclear program. You have powers that make a fortune, $1 trillion a year, selling arms, especially to Iran's adversaries. We've seen them, to Firaz's point, they give weapons to the Saudis that we know are being used to commit war crimes on women and children in Yemen. They give them to the Israelis that we know are being used to commit war crimes in the Gaza Strip and against other Palestinians, if not Lebanese, at some point in time in history, if you very well know. What do they care about Iran's drone program?
Yeah, that's true. I would add that this kind of sanction against Iran military personnel or organization doesn't have any real impact on the current status of Iran-U.S. relation or Iran economic situation, because the maximum pressure campaign that President Trump issued on Iran is still continued by the Biden administration. So nothing can do more about Iran's economic isolation by the West. And these kind of sanctions against Iranian military personnel or organization is, just make us laugh, because nobody's in Iran, in the military, in the IRGC, they don't have any kind of assets outside of Iran that Western countries could, get all of those or, freeze those. So what's happening is that the Biden administration doing and continue the maximum pressure, not just on economic issues, but it is a hybrid war against Iran. It is a propaganda against Iran. So it is a full range of using all of the American tools in international affairs. It is covert action, it is military action, it is diplomacy, everything against Iran to come to the negotiation with the limits and terms that United States accept, not Iran, which I'm talking about the JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal. So the last point is that, the United States sanction against Iran is not working, as it has not been working since the revolution, the 1979 Islamic Revolution in Iran. And we can see that Iran has more power in nuclear industry, in military industry, in regional issues, missiles, drone, everything. So what's happening and what can United States change Iranian behavior is just going to revive the original JCPOA. Just imagine if Biden administration, in the first months he came to the White House, he revived, he pushed, he encouraged, he do lots of his, in his power to revive the JCPOA. I'm sure that if the JCPOA revived before the war erupted in the Eastern Europe, and nowadays the whole situation in international politics would be different. Iranian oil would go to the free market, especially in Europe. The energy crisis that the Western countries, especially the European countries, now facing would be limited. And also the kind of cooperation between Iran and Russia wouldn't be happen. So all of the blames will go for Biden administration, who claimed before he came to the power that he changed the policy of Trump against Iran, but actually he continues that.